Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Sean. This is my first video since the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. So, yay Seahawks! So I know I don't post very frequently on my channel. I'm a very infrequent poster. I'm very sporadic, I guess. And this is just part of how I am. I'm not really consistent about things. I mean, I go through streaks where I may be reading more. I go through streaks where I may be writing more or editing, or maybe I go through long breaks or periods where I don't write or I don't read. So it's kind of hard to maintain a booktube channel just because it's like I may not have much to say. For instance, lately I've been more working on my books, on my writing and editing, but I know those videos don't get very many views. You know, a lot of people just are not interested in that, even though I like doing those. So, you know, I just haven't wanted to overload you guys with those videos, writing videos. But I haven't really finished any books lately. I finished Ernest Hemingway's book In Our Time a few weeks ago, and I posted a review of that, and I guess I'll post that at the end of this video. Other than that, I have not finished or even DNF'd, I think, any books in the last month or so. So it's like I don't really have much to talk about. And even though I have some like tag videos that I could do booktube videos on, I don't know, I just haven't been motivated really. So yeah, it's just been difficult like figuring out any kind of topic to do a video on. But anyway, just last night I saw a post from Maria Andrea. She's someone I subscribe to on BookTube. So I'll post a link or whatever to her channel. So I always like to, you know, highlight other booktubers and stuff. But she has weekly wrap-ups, and I've never done that because, again, I just don't really have much to say a lot of times, I think. But in this case, I thought I'd go ahead and try with it. Just doing like a weekly update to tell you guys what's going on, whether it's a lot of stuff to update or very little. Kind of my hope is that if I am able to make a habit out of this, maybe I'll be more productive reading or writing because it's like, hey, I want to have something I could talk about for my weekly update. So I'm going to try this. I'm not committing to it at all. So maybe this will be my only weekly wrap up I ever do, but I'm at least going to try it just to let you guys know what's going on. So from the reading front, again, I just don't have much to say because I've not been much in the reading mood lately. Really, the last couple years, I've kind of been having down reading years. But I do have books I'm at least trying to read. Recently, I added this book to my currently reading list, even though I've not actually started to read it. The Red Badge of Courage by Stephen Crane. This is one of my books on 26 to read in 2026. I just kind of felt, you know, I had a little bit of space to read a book for currently reading. So I decided to add this one for my 26 to read list, because it's so short. So I was like, well, you know, maybe that'll help me get into reading, just picking a short book. So I have not started it yet, but I've at least put it aside. So I'm kind of thinking, you know, any day soon I may begin trying to read The Red Badge of Courage. So, you know, nothing to say about it. I have not started it yet, but maybe I will. So that's at least something I could kind of give you guys for an update. I also have this book, Robertson Davies, Fifth Business. I think this is on my 26 to read in 2026 list. I'm pretty sure it is. So yeah, that's a book I'm actually currently reading. I am 48 pages in, and basically my impression of this book, I don't think I've read any of it in the last week, but I'm liking it pretty well. I have not like looked up anything about, it's actually a trilogy by Robertson Davies, Fifth Business. This is the first book. I don't know anything about it whatsoever. I like the writing pretty well though. I don't really know what to say about it, but it just seems like it's overall solid. My concern is that I just don't really feel too much of a desire to keep reading. Like, I don't feel like, oh, I'm on the edge of my seat waiting to find out what'll happen next. I just don't really feel that. But I do actually, I will actually say though that in terms of writing, I think it's very well written. I don't have a problem with that. It's just I'm kind of waiting to really get a sense of like, what is the point of all this? That's what I'm really waiting for. And that's kind of like what I would need to hook me would be to find that out, to know a reason to keep reading this. I don't have that yet, but at least I can say at this point that I think it's actually pretty well written. So from that standpoint, probably regardless of what I wind up thinking about this book, I'll probably wind up saying that, you know, it at least has potential. Maybe you will like this. So that's kind of my idea of where this book is heading. Next, in terms of books I have like on my currently reading list, I actually started to read this just this last week. So this is like a current weekly update. So I began reading this. Actually, it may have been just like over like 8 days ago. So it's technically like the previous week. But I did read another chapter or another few pages of it this week. So Robert A. Heinlein, Starship Troopers. This is a book on my 26 to read in 2026. I am currently 13 pages in. I don't know what to say so far. It's so far not as bad as I thought it would be, because I heard someone say that Starship Troopers is largely just about like lectures about discipline in the classroom. I have not gotten that yet. So far, all that's happened is these soldiers like go into these like pods or something, and they get launched out of this spaceship or something, and they fly down to the planet in these pods. So it's kind of like that's how these soldiers in the future or whatever deploy onto planets. The spaceship like puts them almost like in a bullet or something. It's kind of like that, like a shell casing or whatever. Basically it's like bullets, and they just shoot them down into the planet, and then the like shell breaks away, and then like a parachute deploys or whatever, and they land on the planet. So that's how they get there, and that's how this book starts. So that's actually a pretty cinematic opening. So I think you could just imagine that opening a movie, like, you know, these pods being shot down, and it's just real high speed stuff, and it's kind of an actiony start. So pretty good start actually. So no idea how it's going to go, but at least from the first 13 pages, it's like, well, this is going pretty well so far. So Robert A. Heinlein, Starship Troopers, a book I'm currently reading, and in fact am actively reading. So I have actually read some of it this week. I think it's the only book I've probably read this week though. Next, another currently reading book. Again, I just tend to have several books that I'm currently reading at one time, usually about five. Five currently reading books is kind of my sweet spot. Next is Time and Again by Jack Finney, a book on my 26 to read in 2026 list. I'm currently 58 pages in, and this book is kind of famous because it has like pictures or whatever of whatever the book is talking about. Basically this book is about time travel, so it has pictures talking about like the places he is going through time or whatever and seeing. And what that really reminds me of actually is what's his name? It's not Rick Riordan, is it? I have a couple signed copies of it. It's the book Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I'm trying to think who the author of that is. Oh, there they are, right down there. Oh, Ransom Riggs, that's it. So they're right down there. I have The Desolations of Devil's Acre and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Both of those books are signed. Anyway, it's really reminding me of that just because this book has like images included or whatever, and Ransom Riggs, his books have that. So it's kind of like, I wonder if this author like saw pictures or whatever and thought, ooh, I'll write a book and include those pictures. So I'll just say like what the story of that picture is. So it seems like that's kind of what this book does, and that's basically what Ransom Riggs does in like Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children and all that. So it seems really reminiscent of that. Anyway, my impression of this, I don't know. So far, I think I'm liking it okay. The problem with it is it really gets bogged down in details. So it's talking all about like he walks across to like, oh, I was just going to say the word, but then I forgot it. I wanted to say cakewalk. I don't know if that's the right word. But it's basically like a platform or whatever. And he's walking across it and he's like looking down on this stage or something. And somehow that's like another time or something. Or it's a portal to another time area or something. I don't really understand it, and part of it is he's just really going overboard on details. Like, I looked left and I saw this, and I looked right and I saw this, and he's just really describing it in detail, and it's kind of going in one ear and out the other. So even though he's starting to get into all the time travel stuff, finally on like page 58, you know, he's really getting into the time travel stuff. I didn't know anything about what this book was about before starting it, so I didn't know it was a book about time travel. He's finally getting into that, but he's kind of losing me because it's just like, I don't really understand what is happening here. He's losing me with all the details, and it's just kind of getting useless details. So I don't know, the start of it I think had potential, but just the way he's kind of going with it, I'm kind of losing interest. So I don't know, that has kind of made me lose a little bit of interest in this book, but I'm not quite near DNFing it yet. Next, I think this is the 5th book I would be currently reading. It is The Complete Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. So I am currently on the 2nd book of the Sherlock Holmes series, The Sign of Four. I liked the first book pretty well, A Study in Scarlet. I don't think I've done any reviews of that book on this channel, and I don't know if this is a book on my 26 to read in 2026 list. I am not sure. But yeah, so Sherlock Holmes. Basically, my impression of this so far is I'm actually quite surprised with it. I think the writing is actually pretty good, pretty solid. So I'm liking the writing pretty well. And also I've liked another detective series I've read by Rex Stout. He wrote a series called the Nero Wolfe series. I like that very well. That's one of my favorite series. I've read like 17 books in that series, and it's pretty reminiscent of Sherlock Holmes. So I could see how similar it is, you know, how much he based it on Sherlock Holmes. So basically, I'm liking it pretty well. I think the writing's pretty good. I really don't have any problems with it, except Conan Doyle, or I guess I think his last name is Doyle. So Conan was actually his middle name. So it's not Conan Doyle is his last name. His last name is Doyle. He tended to full name his character. So he repeatedly says Sherlock Holmes. He doesn't just say Holmes. A lot of times he'll say Sherlock Holmes. So it'll be like Sherlock Holmes sat down. Sherlock Holmes stood up. Sherlock Holmes walked to the door. And I hate that. Just say he or just say Holmes, and I'll know who you're talking about. There's only one Holmes in the book, so I'll know it's Sherlock Holmes. But when he says the full name, Sherlock Holmes, I just don't like that. So I would edit that out of this book if I could like do an edit of this book. But other than that, I think the writing is really solid. So I'm liking it pretty well. My main update for this last week, just last week, maybe again like 8 or whatever days ago, so technically not last week or this week, I finally published Ottoman Destiny, the 4th book in the Trevor Knight series. So this is my 7th novel that I've published. So yeah, I have now officially published 7 novels. This is just a proof copy. I ordered 10 copies of the book, so those are on the way. I'll probably get them sometime early this week. So that's exciting. So yeah, so I published this book. So this book is now live. It's my largest book to date. It is over 620 pages, so it's quite a behemoth of a book. I've worked on it for somewhere around 6 years, so just a lot of work I've done on this book. I'm pretty happy about it. I know I should be more enthusiastic about this, like it's the best thing I've ever written, you gotta read it, it's my best work, whatever. But actually another book I'm working on is my favorite book, above this one. So in a way, you know, this, I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't feel as strongly about this book because since I've written another one now that's like going to come after this one, I like the next book more than this one. Not to say this is bad or anything. What I'll say though is that I think each of my books have been better than the previous one, except maybe German Derelict. That was the second book I wrote, but I hate German Derelict. I always say whenever I mention German Derelict how much I hate it. But that was the one exception. That's the one book where it's like, yeah, that book was not better than the last one. My first book was Waiting for the Rain. My second book was German Derelict, so I do not think German Derelict was better than Waiting for the Rain. My next book was Egyptian Demise. I thought that was definitely better than German Derelict. The next Trevor Knight book was Syrian Dander. I thought that was better than Egyptian Demise. This book, Ottoman Destiny, I think is better than Syrian Dander, the book I wrote before it. And then the next book after this one, I think the next book is better than this one. So each book I think has gotten better than the last one. So yeah, this isn't a case where it's like, yeah, I don't really feel as strongly about this book. It's just that I've written something next that I like more than this one. So that kind of takes away a little bit of my enthusiasm for this book. Like, if this was my most recent thing I've written, I'd be more higher on this, thinking, hey, this is my greatest thing I've written. But since I've written something else already, I already kind of feel like, yeah, the thing I wrote next is better than this book, even better than this book. But still, I should say, I still am really proud of this book. I think it's my best book that I've published so far. That's what I should have said from the beginning. This is the best book I've published so far, I believe. Yeah, and I love the cover. I did everything about this book myself, so the cover, I fully designed that myself. In fact, something I added to this book, I don't know if people will like this or not, but it's just something I kind of wanted to add, is I added a line in like the copyright page. I say, cover and interior designed fully without AI by Sean Holt. So I don't really know, I don't know how to say. I just thought I'd add that because it's such an issue now. People worrying about AI or whatever, or generative AI. I think that's the way to say it, generative AI. So yeah, I just kind of thought I'd throw that into the copyright page, just saying that this is not AI in any form. The cover, the interior, the writing, all of that. This is just all purely my own work. It's not AI. So I just thought I'd kind of add that. So yeah, for now I'm kind of adding that to my books just to say, none of this is done by AI. Just so it's by an actual person. It's not something I just typed into a computer, just said like, write a book about Turkey and let the computer come up with a 600-page book. This is all personally written and edited by me. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I guess what I'm most proud about is just to have published my 7th novel. That sounds really cool. Like, how many people never published novels? And I've published 7. So that's like, damn, that's a major accomplishment. And then of course, just the size of it, just a 600+ page book. I mean, that's kind of like into epic territory when you have a book that big. I mean, that's just a mammoth book. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of that, proud of my work on this, and I'm also just really glad to be done with it. Because again, I've been working on this book for about 6 or 7 years, so I put a lot of work into it, so I'm just glad to finally be done with it, so I could quit looking at it. I'm just tired of going through it, kind of. I was ready to be done with this book and just move on. I've spent enough time on it, so what I'll probably do is I'll probably like not look at this book at all, like not read it for a couple years, because I'd just be terrified that if I read it, I'll immediately notice a problem with it. Because yeah, that does happen where it's like, I'll publish a book and then the next time I look at it, I'll see something I want to change and it'll just be like, oh, damn, what do I do now? It's a real hassle to like post an update of the book to do a new edition. That's a lot of work. It's a hassle to do that. So I just really am terrified to look at this book at all because I'm afraid I'll just instantly see something where it's like, oh, I should fix that. And then what do I do with this book now? Because it's like, oh no, I need to fix it. So I'm gonna try to like just put this book aside for a couple years because I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. But still, really cool. I ordered 10 copies of it. So my 7th novel, I'm really proud of it. I wish people would give it a chance because I put so much work into it. I mean, you could just imagine all that work, 6 or 7 years. So I don't usually like, I don't know how to say, promoting myself at all, really. I don't like doing that. I don't like trying to tell people like, hey, go buy my books or whatever. I don't like doing that. But if you guys could, I would really appreciate if you could go check out some of my books. They're on Amazon and, yeah. So I have several to choose from. This is the most recent. You can read them in any order. But for this book specifically, I would suggest people read Syrian Dander, the book before this one, before reading this book. Mainly because one of the main characters in this book is Kate Creed, and she has some like past history with Trevor Knight. And also there's some stuff with like the Kurds in Syria. That's a factor in this book. Trevor's relationship with the Kurds. So that all kind of has like stuff to do with this book. So you'll pick up those things in Syrian Dander. You'll see how Trevor meets Kate, how their relationship goes, and how Trevor kind of develops acquaintances or whatever with the Kurds. So those two things like apply in this book. So this is like the follow-up to that. So I would recommend people read Syrian Dander before reading Ottoman Destiny, but it's not an absolute must. You can read this book and you should be able to understand it fine without reading anything else in the series. But still, of all the books in the Trevor Knight series, I would say you should probably read Syrian Dander before reading Ottoman Destiny, because then you'll get more out of it. Just because you'll know how Trevor and Kate meet and how Trevor comes into contact with the Kurds and all of that. So that would be my recommendation. But if you guys could check this book out, or Syrian Dander, or any of my other books, I would greatly appreciate that. I put a lot of work into these books and they don't really get any sales. So that's really dispiriting and really discouraging. So if you guys could check out my books, I would greatly appreciate that. I'd appreciate any reviews just because I'm desperate for that. And yeah, it's not really my goal really to make like a bunch of money or whatever. I'm not really seeing any money out of this. I'm just doing it because I love to write and I want to tell these stories. So if you guys could check out my books just to kind of support, my goals or whatever, my passion, which is writing, just so I'd kind of know that someone out there is appreciating what I'm doing, I would appreciate that very much. That would mean a lot to me. It'd be a lot of encouragement for me that someone out there is at least reading my books. So that would be my wish. That would mean a lot to me if anyone could do that. But otherwise, I just don't like telling people like, go buy my books. I don't like doing that at all. But anyway, since I published that book, now I could kind of begin moving on to the other books I have in progress. So really, there's 2 books I have currently in progress. So there's Keeping Fire, which is book 3 in the Samuel Creed series. This is part of a different series. This book is set in Nigeria, and I'm currently editing this book with a red pen. I've done editing explained videos about this book, Keeping Fire, before. This book is pretty much a mess, especially the chapters with Eve. Let me see. Yeah, this is the page I really wanted to show you guys. Like, look at all these edits to the book. So this is just one chapter edit of Keeping Fire, and also the next page, it goes on. So all of that is a continuation of the previous page. The edits, all of that looks like that's a separate page. So yeah, that is just the edits to one chapter. All of those edits, and then all of those up there. So that just shows how many edits I'm making to this book. And yeah, so that kind of just gives you guys a glance at how much work I put into these books. So this is the second time I'm editing this book. So this is the second edit of the book, Keeping Fire. I like this book a lot. And yeah, I don't really want to talk about it too much. So I was starting to edit this book a little bit more with the red pens, you know. So I was like, okay, since I'm done with Ottoman Destiny, the book I just showed you, I could begin focusing more on this. So I began doing that a little bit. I had edited a chapter or two, but then I kind of fizzled out a little bit. And then I kind of decided I'd actually switch gears. So instead of working on that, I'm kind of more recently, this last week especially, I've been working on this book, Arabian Dawn. So this is the sequel to this book, Ottoman Destiny. And this book, Arabian Dawn, the fifth book in the Trevor Knight series, this I think is strongly the best book I've written so far. This is my favorite book I've written. So I love this book. So that's kind of why I'm a little bit less passionate about Ottoman Destiny, because I have this book. I love Arabian Dawn. So this is a book I would want to tell everyone, you know, read Arabian Dawn. I think it's my best book. For this one, actually, Arabian Dawn, it's useful to have read Ottoman Destiny and Syrian Dander, but kind of in a way, a little bit more of the better book to read for this one would be Egyptian Demise, because there's a major character in Egyptian Demise who appears in this book as well. Again, it's not necessary to understand the story to read Egyptian Demise, but again, you'll get more out of it because you'll meet that other character. But also Kate Creed is mentioned in this book. She in fact appears in a scene or two. I think just one scene. So yeah, so you kind of had to read Ottoman Destiny to understand that, and to understand that you kind of had to read Syrian Dander. So really kind of all of those. Egyptian Demise, Syrian Dander, Ottoman Destiny. Even in a way, actually, German Derelict would kind of be a recommended read for this one as well, because Iran factors into this book as well, and Iran is kind of the focus of German Derelict. So this book actually is finally starting to really tie everything together. German Derelict, Egyptian Demise, Syrian Dander, Ottoman Destiny. It's all kind of beginning to coalesce and culminate. Everything that's been happening up to this point in the series, it's starting to kind of have echoes, you know? It's starting to have consequences. Things that Trevor did in Egypt, or things that happened in Iran or Syria or Turkey or whatever. It's all having effects on this book. So that just kind of shows you how, you know, what happens in one book affects all the future books, even though I try to write it so you can read it, any book in the series, and understand it fine. Anyway, so what I'm doing with this book, actually, this book is fully edited with a red pen, and this is the second edit of the book. And if you just look at the, oh, in fact, that page is pretty nasty. But most of the edits, there's another pretty bad one. I guess there's anywhere between like 3 to 10 edits per page. I'd say probably closer to like 8 or so corrections per page. So it's getting a little bit closer to being able to be published. So I think after this, I'll do 2 more drafts. Anyway, I didn't quite say. What I'm doing currently is I'm making the corrections into the computer. Ah, there goes a bookmark. So this is where I'm currently at in the book, page 96. I just began doing this about a week ago, making the corrections into the computer. So I'm already on page 96, and there are, how many pages? I think about 450. Yep, I was just going to say 450. So yeah, at that pace, I'll probably be able to finish this within about 2 or 3 weeks or so, and then I'll be able to order another copy of the book. So yeah, what I'm doing is I'm making the corrections. Each edit I have, I'm putting the corrections into the computer. So that's a pretty tiresome, tedious process. It's really exhausting. Just because it takes a lot of focus, like figuring out, okay, what was I supposed to do with this line? What does that word read? What was I supposed to do here? So it's just a real tedious process, but I'm just chipping away at it. So in the last week, I've done almost 100 pages. So that's good progress. Anyway, this is my favorite book I've written so far, Arabian Dawn. I just love it. I think it's my best book I've written so far. And you can see it's even a little bit shorter of a book. So just about 450 pages. I understand Ottoman Destiny. This book, 600 pages. That's a major commitment. A lot of people would see the size alone and just decide, nope, I'm not reading that huge crap. You know, why is this book so big? It doesn't need to be so big. So this book, Arabian Dawn, 450 pages. It's, you know, not as intimidating. So yeah, basically with where they're at in the edits, these books, Keeping Fire and Arabian Dawn, are probably within around a year, maybe 2 years of being published. And yeah, so I think I may be ready to publish Arabian Dawn first. We'll see. Kind of what I may wind up deciding is, since I think I like Arabian Dawn more than Keeping Fire, I might publish Keeping Fire first, just because that way there'll still be the progression of liking each book more than the last. So I would probably like Keeping Fire more than Ottoman Destiny. I don't know, they're both good in their own ways, but I don't know. So I do like Keeping Fire pretty well, but I definitely like Arabian Dawn more than Keeping Fire. So I may publish it that way. Ottoman Destiny, Keeping Fire, Arabian Dawn, just because that way each book is better than the last. But I don't know. We'll see. And again, I'll probably be able to publish Arabian Dawn sooner, just because it's almost done with this draft. Both these books are on the same draft. They're on the 5th draft. But with this one, I'm still doing the red pen edits, and then I need to make all the corrections into the computer. Whereas with this one, Arabian Dawn, I'm actually making the corrections into the computer. So I'm talking so much on this video. I'm sorry, this is just supposed to be a weekly wrap-up, and I'm talking on and on and on. If I do these weekly wrap-ups, I'll probably have a lot less to talk about, because I won't go over all this again. I won't say, you know, everything I've said in this video. I'll just give a recap for anything new I have to say. So yeah, if I do these videos in the future, I'm not going to be as long-winded, hopefully. Who knows? Maybe my next weekly wrap-up will be like 4 hours long. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my update. So mainly, the things I've been doing this last week is reading Robert A. Heinlein's Starship Troopers, liking it fairly well. And also this week I've been making the corrections into the computer for Arabian Dawn. And just this last week, or 8 days ago, or 9 days ago, or whatever, I published Ottoman Destiny, my 7th novel, the 4th book in the Trevor Knight series. So these are kind of my main weekly focuses: Starship Troopers, Arabian Dawn, and Ottoman Destiny. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I guess one more thing I'll say is just to, just talk about miscellaneous other stuff in my life. So really, I haven't been doing too much else. Mainly, I've just kind of been playing video games. I'm kind of a gamer. The last couple of games I've been playing are No Man's Sky. I like that game pretty well, even though I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of it, because it's kind of like I already have everything I want or need in the game. I kind of have like all the resources I need, so it's just less reason to play the game. They also came out with an expansion for No Man's Sky this last week, which I've started to play, but I ran into a glitch where the game kind of soft locked me, where I couldn't progress, I think. So that kind of made me want to give up on that expansion. But I don't know, I think I could try to restart that expansion, so hopefully I won't get glitched, and so I could play that. But I don't know. Like I say, I'm just kind of a little bit less enthusiastic about that game. I'm kind of losing interest in it. Mainly, lately, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is probably my favorite game in the Assassin's Creed series, just because I think it has really good replay value, because I just like going around ancient Greece and just doing whatever, just like endless quests. I enjoy that. So Assassin's Creed Odyssey is, I think, my favorite Assassin's Creed game, even though it's very controversial, and it's like a very controversial pick. A lot of people either love or hate Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I like it pretty well though. I think it's probably my favorite game in the series. But I will say, like in terms of like the Assassin's Creed purity or whatever, I don't really view it so much as an Assassin's Creed game because I don't think you're really an assassin. You're more of a mercenary. You're more of a Greek demigod kind of than an assassin. So yeah, from that standpoint, I think like the Assassin's Creed series kind of really died with Assassin's Creed Unity or Assassin's Creed 3. Every game after that has been kind of something else. So Assassin's Creed Black Flag was more of a pirates game. Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I think, was more of like a Batman Arkham Asylum game because you're flinging around London with like grappling hooks and like flying across the city with grappling hooks or whatever. Basically, that game plays like it's a Batman game. You are Batman in Victorian London. So I think Assassin's Creed Syndicate is more of a Batman game. Assassin's Creed Origins I like a lot, but in that game you're more of a magi. You're not really so much of an assassin, even though that one I'll at least like. He does kind of become an assassin. Assassin's Creed Origins is probably, it could be my favorite Assassin's Creed game. I love Bayek. I love the setting of ancient Egypt, but I just don't really like the quests so much in that game, and I hate Aya or whatever her name is, Bayek's love interest or his wife or whatever. I can't stand her. She is a psychopath and I just hate her. And yeah, so when I first played that game, I liked it. I liked their relationship, but now I absolutely hate it. I can't stand it. I want to skip every scene she is in. I just hate Aya. She's a psychopath. She's completely unlikable. So yeah, that she really ruins Assassin's Creed Origins for me. But otherwise, I love Bayek and I love the setting of ancient Egypt. I just love going around the pyramids and the sand dunes and the Nile and the alligators and all of that. Assassin's Creed Origins is just chef's kiss, beautiful game. I said how I like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I've done 2 major playthroughs of that game, and I've quit both of them like 70% in. I just lose interest completely. So I have never actually finished Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So to me, it's real difficult. But again, just like in terms of like the Assassin's Creed lore or whatever, I don't think Assassin's Creed Valhalla is an Assassin's Creed game. It's a Vikings game. And I haven't played it, but the next game, Assassin's Creed Mirage, that's not an Assassin's Creed game. That's a reincarnated Norse god game. And just on and on it goes. So yeah, I'm really not so much a fan of Assassin's Creed series anymore. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep playing the series at all. I tried to buy and download Mirage, the game set in Babylon, but the game glitched for me. Every time I would start the game, it would crash. So that's the only Assassin's Creed game I've been unable to play. So because of it, I did not buy Assassin's Creed Shadows at all, the book set in Japan, because I think it's completely unnecessary because we already have Ghost of Tsushima, which I think out Assassin's Creed's Assassin's Creed. So why play Assassin's Creed Shadows when you could just play Ghost of Tsushima? So anyway, that's kind of what I've been doing aside from reading or editing, is playing No Man's Sky and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I don't know if there's really anything else to say. The Seahawks won the Super Bowl. I love that. It was redemption for the Super Bowl that got away. So, just a relief. I'm not going to talk about the halftime show because I just don't want to get into the politics of that. So kind of my opinion on that is, if you liked the halftime show, more power to you, I don't care, whatever. So I just don't want to talk about the politics of it. I wanted to watch the Super Bowl. So yeah, so that's kind of my opinion on it. I just don't want to talk about the halftime show. If you liked it, great. For me, though, I just wanted to see the Seahawks beat the Patriots. So, yes, redemption for the Super Bowl that got away. Oh, it's so much healing for us because that last Super Bowl was just, oh, it was a nightmare. Our hearts were crushed. It was just so awful having to live with that and carry that around with us. So to finally win a Super Bowl again and against the Patriots, oh, it's just healing. It's redemption. So thank you. It's like the world is healing again. We got a Super Bowl. We won a Super Bowl against the Patriots. Redemption for the one that got away. The Mariners season is kind of about to start gearing up. That's pretty exciting, I guess. The thing with baseball, I used to be a huge Mariners fan for years. I mean, baseball was my thing. I loved it. I loved going to the Kingdome, the old stadium, and watching the Mariners. And that was in the days of like Ken Griffey Jr., Randy Johnson, Alex Rodriguez, and all that. I remember those days very well. I remember the 95 season very well, watching that and just staying up for every game, watching how it goes. Just a magical year. So the Mariners, it's great that they're finally competitive again, and they've made a couple roster moves that are pretty big. They've got a new second baseman who's a pretty good contact hitter, and they also traded our #1 catching prospect, Harry Ford. We traded him. So I think it's at least good that they're making moves that should help their current major league roster, because the Mariners like their window to win is now. So I think it's right that they're making moves to try to win now. This is their time. So I like that. But the thing with baseball right now is it's just difficult to want to watch games because there's so many games. So my opinion kind of is like I'd rather wait till the playoffs if they get there, because I just don't want to watch 162 games or whatever. That's just way too much. So yeah, but at least when the Mariners do play, I'll definitely be checking the scores to see if they're winning or not, and who's having good years or who's having bad years. That's kind of more what I do, is just checking scoreboards or whatever. What else? Robert Duvall died today. Or actually, I think he died yesterday, but we just got the news of it today, so that's kind of a blow. Just a really prominent actor. He was great in pretty much everything he did. So yeah, that kind of sucks. Robert Duvall passing away. We just got the news of that today. I don't really know what else to say. So I think that will do it for this video, unless there's any other things I can think of. Nope. So, yep, that's it for this weekly wrap up. I'm sorry it's so long. I know no one's probably going to watch this whole thing. They'll probably just see that it's like a 35-minute video or a 42-minute video or whatever and just think, nope, I'm not going to watch all that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching if you have at all watched. So yeah, we'll see how this goes, if I can post more regularly on my BookTube channel, and if that will help give me motivation to read more, so I'll have something more to talk about. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you did, I'll hopefully see you in another video. Bye! 2, 3, 4...